I'm Albert from Summer Associate Hub, and I'm glad to be joined by Angela Vorpahl, who's going to chat with us about succeeding in second semester of 1L. Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Albert. I am a law school strategy coach, so I help new law students get the grades to start their career on their own terms.
Amazing. All right, so let's jump in. So, uh, if you're 1L, either maybe you didn't get the grades you wanted first semester, looking to improve second semester, or you did well first semester and want to make sure you're maintaining that second semester. What are the main things that you recommend to students?
Yeah, great question. So there are three main things that I encourage everyone else to think about when they're reflecting on their first semester and heading into their second semester. And the first one is time. So specifically, how did you allocate your time first semester? One of the main things to look at is how many hours per week did you actually dedicate to outside of class work time versus how many hours did you spend allocating to personal time? So personal time could be anything from working out, relaxing, spending time with friends, childcare responsibilities, anything that took you out of that law school work structure. And would you like to reallocate that, meaning spending more time on the law school work if possible, and spending less time outside of class and outside of law school on personal time if you didn't see the results and grades that you were hoping for? The other thing that I hear a lot of students say, probably the most common comment is, I wish I would have started earlier. And so when people say that, what they mean is what we're looking for is, when was that inflection point for you in the semester? Meaning, when did you really start to push hard? For a lot of people, that doesn't happen until midway through the semester or even later in the semester. And so if you didn't see the results that you were looking for, can we actually front load that work more, make that push earlier? And specifically, we're usually talking about starting outlines earlier, practice problems earlier, and going to professor office hours earlier. The other thing that we also want to be making sure that we're keeping in mind for second semester is, what are we going to cut down and or move faster through when we are heading into second semester, because second semester comes with additional work that is going to be added to your plate. So most law schools will add an additional course second semester because they now have decided you are law school experts, and so you can take on a bigger workload. So we need to be able to work in that content as well. Also, the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that most law schools are going to be transitioning from writing a legal memo to writing a legal brief, and usually with an oral argument component. So you're going to be spending and investing more time in your legal research and writing course as well. And the other big thing that gets added to the plate second semester is your 1L summer job search. And so you're going to be
Yeah.
investing time and energy in applications, interviews, and locking that job down. And so we need to make sure that we're layering in that as well, so that we're basically doing everything we're doing first semester and more, so that we need to get really strategic and intentional about what we're cutting down and what we're moving faster through.
For an overview of the 1L summer job search, you can check out our other video on summerassociatehub.com with me and Angela. All right, so Angela, what's next?
Yeah, so the second big piece that everyone should really sort of take a look at and break down is the study process. And so when I talk about study process, the way that I like to talk through it with my students is what I call the 5-step study plan. And so that's reading notes, class notes, outlines, canned answers, and practice exams. And so we really want to take a look at each one of those steps and reflect on where we can tweak things or up level things for that second semester. So when it comes to reading notes, a few of the things to think about are, did I spend 99.9% of my time reading every line of every case, highlighting every word of the case book, and preparing for class? Because that's what most of us do first semester. And if that was you, do I want to layer in a case brief resource like Quimby to help me move through that step faster and allocate more time on the back end? When it comes to class notes, did I actually go to class? Did I actually pay attention? Did I take really thorough notes? Or were there a couple of classes I skipped? Was I zoning out a lot? Or was I talking more than I was listening? When it comes to outlines, did I actually create my own outlines, or did I straight up use someone else's outline, or did I
Yeah.
break up that work in a study group where multiple people were creating the outline? And if I did, would I like to take more ownership over that creation process so that I can internalize the information better this time around? When it comes to canned answers, which is basically your final exam study document, did I create an organized and condensed step before final exams in the process of canned answers or pre-writes or an attack outline? Or did I just reread the outline I had already made? And then when it comes to practice exams, did I actually take any practice exams? We all know
Yeah.
we should, but that doesn't mean we always do. And so, did I take a midterm in my classes? How many practice exams did I take? And did I go to professor office hours afterwards to get feedback or at least a model answer to see how I did compared to how really powerful student answers did?
I know for me, practice exams were a key part of my strategy. And one book I always like to recommend to students in law school is Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's a great book talking about how to structure your schedule and really create focused time to do this high quality study work instead of just being kind of distracted and between classes or not structuring your time in the most high quality way possible. All right, so let's hear about number three.
Yeah, so the third one is the final exam strategy. And so this one is the biggest one for most of us heading into second semester because the most common thing I hear from first semester students is I knew the information, I knew the law, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong. And one of the things that we tend to not think about is that final exams are actually a written writing essay exam. We are literally writing an
Yeah,
essay in real time, usually in 3 to 4 hours. And writing a final exam answer is a completely different skill set than just knowing the law. And so, what I tend to see is this gap between this understanding and being able to articulate it, maybe even out loud, and actually writing it in words on a page that get points. And so that's something we absolutely want to dig into. And so if we think about final exams in the IRAC structure, so issue, rule, analysis, conclusion, to give us a bit of a framework, when we're looking at our final exam answers, for the I, for issues, did we spot all of the issues that are in the model answer,
yeah,
or were there some that we missed from the fact pattern? How did we prioritize writing out those issues? Did we prioritize the ones that were most present, or did we tend to spend a lot of time on issues that were either not in the fact pattern or not big issues that were highly contested? When it comes to the R, the rules, were our rule statements accurate and thorough? Did we do what a lot of us do, especially as new 1Ls, which is rule dumping, which is where we just write everything we know about a
yeah,
particular rule rather than being really intentional and strategic about the rule language we're inserting into our answer to then be able to analyze? And then when it comes to the A, which is the star of the show, this is where we're getting all of our points. What was the quality of our analysis? Did we do what a lot of us do that first semester, which is just restate facts from the fact pattern, but not connect them to rule language to make arguments? Did we make arguments, but completely forget to make counter arguments? So, from the other party's perspective, did we not take the time to go to professor office hours and see what the professor's preferences were in terms of writing style, in terms of analysis, in terms of what that professor prioritized? And then, of course, with C, conclusion, that one's very basic. Did we remember to conclude, especially if that was particularly important to our professors? And then, just overall, in terms of final exam strategy, how did we feel about our time management? Did we run out of time? Did
yeah.
we feel like we were moving through the questions quickly? Would we like to layer in more practice like we talked about before? Would we like to layer in more professor office hour time to make sure that we're giving the professor what it is they want? And the last thing that I would say about this is if your professor is open to you going to their office hours and looking through and reviewing your final exam, 100% do it. I know that it can
Yeah.
be intimidating and it can feel vulnerable and it can feel embarrassing if you didn't get the grades you thought you would, but this is your life. This is your future that you have control over. Go get those gems from your professor.
Yeah.
Do the things that they're asking in terms of barriers to entry. Some of them will ask you to write an essay or review your own answer versus the model answer. Do it, go. I don't care if you got the highest grade in the class, the lowest grade in the class, or somewhere in the middle. This is completely valuable gems that they're going to be dropping, and give yourself the chance to go and hear them.
Fantastic. Great insights as always. Thank you so much, Angela.
Yeah, my pleasure.